One of the main features of the work of Fernando Menis is his willingness to redirect the energies of an existing situation in order to generate added value. Often this will is applied to projects inspired by nature, such as the pool of El Guincho in Tenerife. It exploits the natural power of tides to fill and renew the water feeding it. For the social housing El Aliseo, where the form is limited by restrictive regulations, this natural energy is evident in the characteristic waviness of the facade, the surface winds in the presence of strong trade winds. The floating pool on the river Spree in Berlin recalls the old public enjoyment of the river through precisely the recycling of a barge for transporting coal. As a first drop of clean water, the project reopens the possibility of swimming in the Spree, returning to an old tradition. But perhaps it is in the conjunction of the House and the cultural space El Tanque where the reuse of materials acquires its meaning in a more accurate way. The House building is done during the conversion of a gas tank of the refinery Cepsa into a cultural centre. Next to it, another tank is being dismantled, producing a large amount of waste. Fernando Menis decides to use this waste material in the construction of the stairs of his home. The characteristic facade of the House, designed to look at the maritime city and breathe gently its air, has adjusted to the power of the sun and the breeze. Nearby, the cultural space El Tanque is a good example of how the recovery of industrial elements enhances the scenic quality of space, amplifying the feelings that seize the viewer. The renewal of energy and matter takes on special meaning when it comes to reactivate economic places and processes related to tourism. The project for the coastline of Puerto de la Cruz examines the current from the Atlantic to use its energy in the renovation of the harbour. An arm of the sea, the Canary Current, flows through the project area, reviving the area's tourism potential and increasing the quality of life for its inhabitants. The Botanical Garden in La Orotava, now under construction, will reactivate the surrounding urban fabric, completing its scientific character, with other functions such as cultural, promotional and socio-cultural. The treatment of topography also plays a key role in the project for the park Cuchillitos de Tristan. There is a pre-existent formation of rocks that is going to be used as a mirador, allowing matter to slide in a volcanic casting, creating platforms that bridge the gap using a winding descent. The project for the new Sacred Museum in Adeje aims to the remodeling and expansion of the Plaza España, designed as a bridge between the social fabric of the village and the surrounding natural landscape. The square is conceived with a clear visual and functional relationship with the ravine. Its role in venue is complemented by a permanent stage with the landscape as a background, giving it a great potential attractor both for citizens and visitors. Are emphasized here once again the values in the context, advocating for quality tourism that fosters economic growth through alternative activities to those offered on the coastline. Another line of research recognizable in the work of Fernando Menis is the material used to express each project. Its presence is visible. For the auditorium in Toruń, Poland, the use of materials is the key to understanding the project. The plot is on the edge of a bucolic historic centre built in brick and limited to the redevelopment of the city. The fusion of old and new is resolved through a brick lining and a rigid outer skin of concrete, very clear, which leaves holes in the interior that might appear organic like a crystallized magma. The facade reinterprets the tectonics of the city and draws a parallel with the strategic location of the plot. Aurum House in Taiwan, in the AODI district, consists of two distinct volumes made of stone embraced by the land. Its strong presence is complemented here by geometric materiality, seeking the deployment of sensations. The water flows through the house, sliding down the wall located between the strong gold pieces. Water and rocks, the flow and geometric force. In Taipei, the project for the Garden Tower is designed by understanding the nature as lush fluid that escapes from the rocks. Rocks that host the service cores and contain the interior space, structuring its organic. In the Church of the Holy Redeemer, there are two materials that make up the project: light and concrete. There is a delicate synergy between those from which emerges the strength of the building. 4 boulders resting on the ground, and between the light penetrates, adding to its texture. Rocks and light, body and ethereal. A strong material presence has often to do with the landscape surrounding the project. In this case, buildings are designed as an extension of the telluric force latent in the environment, as if architecture was created by nature itself. The athletics stadium, designed as an extension of the topography, springs out from the earth as the crater caused by a collision. Through a single tectonic gesture, the stage is implanted in the territory, redirecting the energy of its own impact, manipulating the matter that had been removed, and using it in its settlement to solve the slope of the plot. Also in the auditorium of Morrojable, it is difficult to determine the boundary between natural and artifice. A stone element that emerges out from the ground and causes a crack in the side in order to house an interior rich of volumes. A geological accident in complete synergy with the topography and location. Perhaps the strongest building that resonates with the power of the landscape is the Magma, Arte and Congresos. The semi-desert landscape that surrounds it and the presence of the sea are the conceptual starting points of the work. "13 volumes emerge from the ground and contain the various program services. Rocks that have been built with material taken from the plot itself, and to contain the flow of the roof, imagined as a liquid in motion. Located on a high ground, the convention center is part of the environment and seizes its relationship with the ocean, the game of the sea between the rocks, radiating strength and expression.